The crystal halls of the Valorian High Council shimmered with an otherworldly luminescence as Jiggy stood before the assembled dignitaries. Her violet skin seemed to pale under the weight of what she was about to do. As crown princess of the Valorian Empire, she had always known duty would define her life, but she never imagined it would cost her this much. "You understand what this means, princess." Elder Thran's triple eyes blinked in sequence, his concern genuine despite the political necessity of the moment. "I understand," Jiggy replied, her voice steady even as her hearts, all three of them, hammered against her chest. "I will marry the human, I will secure the treaty." The Terran-Valorian War had raged for 15 cycles, devastating entire star systems. Humanity, the newcomers to the galactic stage, had proven surprisingly resilient against the technologically superior Valorian forces. After years of stalemate, both sides had agreed to an unprecedented solution, a marriage alliance. Jiggy would wed a human male named Alex Chen, a decorated officer from Earth's diplomatic corps. She had seen his hologram, dark hair, strange round eyes, and a peculiar expression the humans called a smile. He looked weak, soft, utterly unremarkable. The humans possessed no telepathy, no energy manipulation, no biological advantages whatsoever. They were the galaxy's newest species, barely having achieved faster-than-light travel a generation ago. Yet somehow they had fought the mighty Valorian Empire to a standstill. The wedding ceremony took place on the neutral station of Threshold 9, a massive orbital platform at the border between Terran and Valorian space. Jiggy wore the traditional ceremonial armor of her people, crystalline plates that reflected her nervous energy in rippling patterns of light. Alex wore what humans called a suit, simple black fabric that seemed impossibly primitive. When she finally met him in person, she was struck by how ordinary he appeared. No gleaming scales, no natural armor, no visible weapons or defense mechanisms, just skin, fabric, and those strange, expressive eyes. "Princess Jiggy," he said, bowing slightly, "it's an honor." She noted the translator device in his ear. Humans couldn't even naturally understand other languages. "Captain Chen," she acknowledged coolly. The ceremony was mercifully brief. Words were spoken in both their languages, documents were signed, and suddenly Jiggy was bound to this alien creature for the sake of peace. As tradition demanded, they would spend the next lunar cycle aboard Threshold 9, a symbolic period of unity, before returning to their respective worlds to begin the real work of diplomacy. The first week was awkward. Alex kept to his quarters mostly, giving Jiggy space. When they did interact, he was unfailingly polite, almost maddeningly so. He asked questions about Valorian culture, listened intently, and never once displayed the arrogance she'd expected from a warrior species that had challenged her empire. "Why did humanity fight us?" she asked one evening as they shared a meal, one of the few diplomatic duties they couldn't avoid. Alex looked up from his plate, considering his words carefully. "We didn't want to. Your empire demanded we submit to Valorian authority, that we abandon 3 colony worlds we'd already settled. We just escaped the limitations of our own solar system. We just touched the stars." His eyes met hers, asking us to give that up, asking humans to stop reaching for more. "You might as well have asked us to stop breathing." "So you chose war over compliance." "We chose freedom over subjugation," he corrected gently. "There's a difference." Jiggy found herself spending more time with Alex. He introduced her to human concepts, music, literature, something called coffee that tasted bitter but oddly pleasant. He told her about Earth, about oceans and mountains, about a species that had evolved without any natural advantages, forced to create everything they needed to survive. "We're not strong like you," Alex explained one night as they stood before the station's observation window, watching stars stream by. "We can't manipulate energy, we don't have telepathy, our bodies are fragile. But we learned to make tools, to work together, to never ever give up." "That sounds exhausting," Jiggy said, but there was curiosity in her tone now, not contempt. "It is," Alex agreed with that strange smile, "but it's also what makes us human." Everything changed during the 3rd week. A Krelll raiding party, opportunistic pirates who preyed on shipping lanes, attacked Threshold 9. The station's shields held initially, but the Krelll were notorious for their persistence. Alarms blared throughout the facility as the attack intensified. Jiggy immediately moved to the command center, her military training taking over. Alex followed, and she expected him to stay back, to hide like the soft creature she still partly believed him to be. Instead, he stepped forward. "I can help." "This isn't a diplomatic negotiation, Alex. This is combat." I know. His expression had changed. The politeness had been replaced by something harder, something that reminded her why humans had held off her fleets for 15 cycles. Trust me. The Krell breached the outer hull. Their boarding parties were moving through the station, overwhelming the security forces. The station commander looked at Jiggy desperately. Princess, we need to evacuate you. No, Alex interrupted. Give me access to the station's internal systems. Captain Chen, I don't think. Now, Alex said, and there was steel in his voice. Jiggy made the decision. Do it. What happened next would be analyzed by military strategists for generations to come. Alex's fingers flew across the holographic interface with impossible speed. He wasn't just accessing the systems, he was rewriting them in real time, adapting and evolving the station's defenses faster than the Krell could counter. He rerouted power, created false corridors in the holoprojectors, turned the station itself into a weapon against the invaders. But that wasn't the revelation that shocked Jiggy. As she watched him work, she began to understand. Alex wasn't using any special powers because he didn't have any. What he was doing was purely through knowledge, creativity, and an absolute refusal to accept defeat. He saw patterns the station's AI couldn't recognize, found solutions that shouldn't exist, turned every limitation into an advantage. The Krell found themselves trapped in corridors that hadn't existed moments before, their weapons disabled by electromagnetic pulses routed through the station's power grid, their ships suddenly locked in the station's tractor beams that Alex had overcharged to triple their normal capacity. How are you doing this? Jiggy whispered, watching in awe. I'm thinking, Alex replied, his concentration never breaking. Humans are really, really good at thinking. Within an hour, the Krell retreated, their forces decimated not by superior firepower but by superior ingenuity. The station was saved, and Alex stood there, looking exhausted but satisfied, surrounded by astonished Valorian officers. That night, Jiggy found Alex in his quarters. He was drinking coffee, staring at his data pad. You could have told me, she said. Told you what? What humans really are, what you're capable of. Alex set down his cup. We're not capable of anything your people aren't, Jiggy. You have better technology, stronger bodies, longer lives. We think differently. We have to. It's how we survived. You don't have our advantages, so you developed something else, Jiggy said slowly, understanding dawning. Adaptability, creativity, the ability to see solutions where others see only problems. Every species has its strength, Alex said. Ours is that we never stop learning, never stop adapting, never accept that something is impossible just because it's difficult. Jiggy sat beside him, truly seeing him for the first time. Not as a weak alien or a political necessity, but as something extraordinary precisely because of what he lacked. The war, she said quietly. We couldn't beat you because every time we adapted our tactics, you'd already moved on to something new. We're good at that, Alex admitted. Maybe too good sometimes, but it's kept us alive on a planet that spent millions of years trying to kill us, and it's gotten us to the stars. This marriage, Jiggy said, I thought it was about securing peace through obligation. And no. She looked at him, at this human who had just saved thousands of lives through nothing but his mind and determination. Now I think maybe peace was secured the moment our peoples actually started to understand each other. Alex smiled, that peculiar human expression that Jiggy was beginning to appreciate. I was hoping you'd say something like that. The lunar cycle ended, but Jiggy and Alex didn't separate. Instead, they returned together to the council, not as reluctant political pawns but as genuine partners. They spoke of what they'd learned about the strength in diversity, about how humanity's unique perspective could complement Valorian technology and wisdom. The treaty was ratified not out of fear or obligation, but out of genuine hope for what their peoples could accomplish together. Years later, when historians studied the end of the Terran-Valorian War, they would point to many factors: military stalemate, economic pressure, diplomatic negotiation. But those who knew the truth understood it differently. Peace came when a Valorian princess looked at a human and saw not weakness, but a different kind of strength. When she understood that the most powerful force in the galaxy wasn't energy manipulation or advanced technology, but the boundless adaptability of a species that refused to accept limits. Humanity's power wasn't what they had. It was what they could become.